Try on the rock face. To the left.
I'm trying this. See if it works. Hey T&K, do you have a picture now? Hey Rock Troll. Hopefully you guys don't have a blank screen. Oh good. Alright. Let's see if this works. The cell service here is pretty spotty. But just give you a little introduction. I'm in a CrossFit gym, and I jump on here to give out little health and fitness tips. Doctors hate me because I've got these one weird tricks that work for people. So awesome, we got good signal now. Let's see if this works. So I've started a little series. I've got a bunch of athletes that I train, and so I want to get on here and interview them, kind of hear their story, because none of us are special snowflakes. We like to think we are, but we all have very similar struggles. We all have very similar things holding us back, whether it's emotional, physical, if there's like an injury. So everybody's kind of in the same boat, and we're all trying to get better. And so that's why we do this. I call it Between Two Barbells, but today we're between a couple ferns. So I'm going to interview my lovely wife, Michelle. We can get this started. Once we get through the interview, I'll open it up for a little Q&A at the end.
Sorry, there's bugs around.
Yeah, we got some bugs here and stuff. We're up in the Adirondacks. We're up at Moose Pond. I'll turn the camera around so you can see. Really beautiful. It's a gorgeous day. T&K says hello again.
Hi, T&K. Is your car better?
So thank you everybody for tuning in. And we'll start interviewing Michelle.
Hi.
So who is Michelle?
That's me.
But career, family, hobbies, interests, you know, what drives you and what's going on? T&K says her car is all sorted.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So career, I am a museum professional. If you want to joke about it, you could call me an exhibitionist.
Yes.
I am director of exhibitions at the Fenimore Art Museum and the Farmers Museum in Cooperstown, New York. My museum exhibits American art at the Fenimore Art Museum. We have a world-renowned Native American art collection. Sorry, there's a bug. And the Farmers Museum is exactly what it says. It's a museum, a living history museum that exhibits farming in the mid-19th century. So that's my career. I absolutely love my job. I feel very, very fortunate to have it. Family, obviously, you know, I'm with Dan, and our daughter, which I'm sure you've heard Dan talk about, is Montana, and she's 19. She was up here. Oh, there's some canoers. Hi. Yeah. She was up here with us for a few days, and she went home yesterday morning, I think it was.
Yeah.
So that was nice to spend some time with her. My extended family, I have a sister, and my mom is in Florida. A couple half-brothers that I'm not very close to. Most of my family is Dan's family, actually. And then what was hobbies.
Yeah.
Hobbies.
Interests.
Hobbies and interests. This is probably a primary one. When I have time to do something like this, this is my first choice for something to do. I love the smell of the woods, the feel of the woods, being out on the water, hiking up a mountain. That's really kind of what floats my boat. Yeah. Yeah.
So T&K just asked how long we've been married. We're coming up on our 21st anniversary.
21 years.
We got married really young. I was 22 and Michelle was 23 when we got married.
Yep.
And then I was 24 when Montana was born.
Yep.
So
we were kids.
Yeah, we started out pretty young. But we've been together almost 25 years. We met in college. And I saw Michelle tootling around town. I said, I got to get to know that girl. Kind of how we got started. Just 18, 19 years old.
Kids.
Just kind of that magnetism, I guess. It was really fun. So I don't know if this will get... Yeah, she puts up with him. Yeah, she's put up with me for a long time, Rock Troll.
Aw. Gladly.
Yeah, she put up with me a long time. So I don't know if this will get emotional or not, but can you tell me about your family health history, Michelle? Because it's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, my mom, I love her to death, and she struggles every day with her weight. I guess it is getting emotional. And I want to say she is an inspiration for me, because I know that she works really, really hard at it and has a hard time seeing progress. My dad died when I was, 20-ish, I
Yeah.
guess. And he had diabetes. He had heart disease. He had cancer. His parents died of, I think his dad died of lung cancer, I think. And I can't quite remember what his mom died of. My mother's parents also were not healthy. My mother's mother had, I think it was uterine cancer and breast cancer, and both sides of my family fight obesity. And I guess in a nutshell, those are things that I'm terrified of. So I make it a daily effort to eat right and to get as much exercise as I possibly can. Like all of us, sometimes that's a little difficult to squeeze all that in. But yeah, that's really my family history. Is that
Cool.
what you were looking for?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you were pretty sick as a kid, too.
I was incredibly sick as a child. I was hospitalized quite a bit. My kidneys failed. They think that was from aspirin, probably, but who knows what that was all from. Incredibly bad allergies. I was sick all of the time. I mean, like vomiting sick. Just anything that went in my stomach, I puked back up. Looking back on it, I was eating utter shit. I was eating things like, remember those Bugle corn chip things? And, I would eat like a bag of those a day when I was like, 8 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know, Vienna sausages, just like total utter bullshit food. Macaroni and cheese, and, I don't remember eating vegetables. I remember hating vegetables. So that went on, obviously, through my early teens. I tried to clean myself up. In my late teens, I thought I was doing the right thing by going vegetarian. And I was vegetarian for probably, 10 years or so. And every inch of me hurt. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and my knees would just be inflamed and really painful, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. That just went on forever and ever. I was eating things like, lentils and all the, standard vegetarian stuff.
Sure.
And then I think the first time I tried to identify what was wrong, sorry, big bug, with me, I found a book called Wheat Belly. Do you remember that, Dan?
Yeah.
Wheat Belly. And I thought, well, maybe that's what's going on. And so I went cold turkey on the wheat thing, and that didn't work because I still didn't know what I should be eating. I finally figured out what I shouldn't be eating, but I didn't know what I should eat.
Right.
So do you want me to keep going? Is this what you're looking for?
No, we can move on.
Okay.
So for those people just tuning in, do health and fitness tips, and we do, trying to do interviewing people that I train. And so I'm actually on here today because we're on vacation. I'm interviewing my wife. She's been training for a long time and made huge progress. So if this is not quite your cup of tea, I can understand. But if you want to listen more to what we're talking about, we'll keep moving on with the interview. We'll open it up for a Q&A at the end. I got a horsefly in my hair. So great comment from Rock Troll. I like your statement, clean myself up because it is like drugs.
Yeah.
And you do have to clean that up,
Right.
clean out the BS.
Right.
Yeah, T and K, we'll get to, at the end, we'll do a little Q&A. So let's go on to the next part. We know what her family history is, what her history is. So what was your exercise routine before starting CrossFit?
Okay. Little. I didn't do a thing. I was a slug. Oh. And then, let's see, in high school, the first sporty thing I ever did is I joined swim team. And I was the slowest kid on the swim team, but I did okay. Because water, when I was younger, water was kind of my element. A place like this, I would, splash around in. But really, I really did nothing. And so a couple years before we started doing CrossFit, which was, 5 years ago we started CrossFit?
Yeah, a little over 5 years.
So a couple years before that, I started running. And I had got up to about, I think, 4 miles a day or so that I was running right before we found CrossFit. And I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought that, this was going to be the magic bullet. My feet were falling apart. My hips were falling apart. It wasn't agreeing with me. If it agrees with other people, cool, go for it. But it just wasn't working for me. So what again was the question, Dan?
Just what was your routine before starting CrossFit?
So that was it. That was it, really.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what made you choose CrossFit over other programs?
All right. So it was kind of a joint effort between Dan and myself. We were, in addition to running, Dan was sort of running at the same time. We were also kind of fooling around with some free weights in our cellar, and I wasn't very serious about it. He was more serious than me. And we decided together that we needed to figure out something better to do with ourselves, because we knew we were falling apart. And we have some friends that lived in San Diego, and I saw on Facebook that they were doing this thing called CrossFit, and I thought, what a horrible name. That's a really stupid name. It's like the cross training from the 1980s or whatever. But I looked into it, and I thought, wow, these are all the different kinds of things that we've been experimenting with, all the different kinds of movements that we've been toying around with, but we didn't know how to put them together. So do you want me to keep going?
Is that what made you decide?
What made me decide to try that out was I was actually definitely intrigued by it, but also like a little nervous about it. And I needed that little kick in the pants, that little spark, that little fire to make me ratchet it up, make my physical life ratchet up.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. Did you have any fears or concerns when you started training CrossFit?
Yes and no, of course, like everything. When Dan and I started, we were entirely on our own. Most people start CrossFit in a box, in a gym, and they immediately have a community. And Dan and I were entirely on our own in our cellar trying to figure all this stuff out, doing a research on our own, like what the hell is a snatch, stuff like that. So I was really excited and intrigued, and my mind was going a million miles an hour trying to figure all this stuff out. But then, what now seems like silly things, like a 14-inch box jump, scared the shit out of me. I'm like, oh my God, how can I possibly do something like that? So there were aspects of it that were scary for me. But overall, I was excited about it.
Sure. Okay. So when did you first notice improvement once you started training?
Yeah.
Like, when did you first notice improvement? It was 5 years ago, so...
Right. And again, I think this is kind of hard. Well, it's hard for me to define again because we were alone doing this. But I would definitely say within a couple months of doing it, I would have to look back at my journals to see when I repeated the first workout. If I did a workout A, let's say in March, and then I repeated workout A in June or something, I know that I got better. I just can't tell you right now what that better was. No. And then physically, clothes were fitting better. I could see muscle tone, all the things that we want to see. But I have never really focused too much on the physical appearance. It's more of performance, how my body functions out in the world, and how I'm feeling about myself physically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, I remember when Michelle workouts, I wasn't doing CrossFit yet because it kind of scared the shit out of me. And so there she is over there doing her workouts. And I remember the first time she repeated a workout, and she actually shaved minutes off her time. And at that point, she was 38, 39. I said, how's it possible for somebody in their late 30s to get that dramatically better in just a few months? It just kind of blew my mind. So, Michelle, what were your goals getting into CrossFit? When you started, what did you want to achieve?
They were pretty simple when we first started. I just wanted to learn how to move better and learn how to, I don't know how to say this, feel stronger, but I certainly didn't have a goal of 400-pound clean right off the bat, mostly because I didn't have any concept of what a 400-pound clean would be. I wanted to have more control of myself. Really, that was a very straightforward goal, I think.
And have you reached that goal?
Yeah, oh, very much so. I reached that goal very, very quickly. I remember, when did we start? Like, what time of year did we start?
I think you started like in November.
Yeah, I remember the first winter that I was doing CrossFit. I went for a walk near our house out in the woods, and I slipped on ice. And I saved myself just using my muscle, using my core, using my muscles. I was able to not go down on my ass.
Right.
And I knew that just a few months previous I would have. So I immediately saw a difference. And another thing I immediately saw was my reaction time. A couple months after starting, I was in the kitchen and I hit something, a cup or whatever, and I caught it immediately. And I knew that that was from doing, fast movements in CrossFit.
Right.
Yeah.
A little like that scene out of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon where the lady drops a teacup and the other girl just catches it without spilling a drop. So how has your life changed? You're getting fitter, your reaction time's faster. Yeah. What's different about your life? What's different about Michelle?
Well, now that we are part of the global community, we have our own box community, but we're also tapped into the global CrossFit community. I do feel part of something bigger. So that's one aspect of what has changed. What were we talking about before we went on? About things that I forget now.
You were talking about confidence.
Oh, right, thank you.
I was talking about the predator eye.
The predator eye and confidence. Well, let's do confidence first. Because I have conquered a series of small fears. I've never really had a huge fear of anything doing this, but a series of small fears. Because I've conquered all of those, that's transferred into my daily life, and I feel much more confident in, hiking a more difficult mountain than I used to, or even, giving a presentation or doing any number of things. That confidence level just skyrocketed.
Sure. Do you want to talk about the predator eye? Or save that for another time?
Eye, well, you're talking about the nutrition and what we saw, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what Dan's talking about, when we first started learning about CrossFit, I would see these people that already had been CrossFitting for like a decade, and their eyes were just piercing, like almost scary piercing, and that was kind of an intimidating thing. Like, why do they look like that? Why do these people that do this exercise look different? And I think there's two things going on. I think one, it's that confidence level, and knowing you're a badass, knowing that you can do these things. But also I think it's dietary, and I think the non-predator eye, like that glazed over thing that most people have, is from the standard American diet, where we have sodas and white bread and all that kind of shit. So I find that people in our community have that predator eye, and I'd be interested to know if people on the outside still see that. I don't know, maybe it was just me.
Yeah. We can ask in the Q&A later on.
Yeah.
So, development that you've noticed since starting, whether it's physical or is it the mental or confidence, or what is it?
Gosh, I think it's the confidence thing. Most surprising development, I guess that I can do any of all of this stuff, whether it's sure, I can't do a muscle up, but I can do something else, and knowing that anybody can, no matter what their ability, that's just such an inspiring thing to bring out into the world, and that's what I know it gets you excited, Dan, and that's what gets me excited about sharing this with people. I don't know, it's really surprising, but it's exciting.
Cool. So you mentioned the muscle up. Is that a goal, or what are your goals now?
Honestly, no. A muscle up is not a goal for me, because I don't have the desire for that. It would be fun. I'm sure they look like fun. But I also know after doing this now for 5 years, I know where I want to say where my comfort level is, but I also don't want people to think that you stay in your comfort zone either.
Right.
You have to keep pushing, and that's the fun part about it, and that's where you see gains. But I know what I'm capable of too, and I don't want to sound like I'm wimping out either. But I guess my goals are to, well, definitely to be able to get in get into the box on a regular schedule.
Right.
Because that's really difficult with the job that I have, and actually this summer I'm sharing a car with my daughter, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So I try to, when I can't get to the box, I try to do stuff, in the neighboring parking lot or whatever,
right.
at home or whatever. So an immediate goal is to just, keep forging ahead. Yeah.
Sure. Cool. Well, we're going to open it up for a little Q&A if you guys have questions for Michelle or myself. Somebody's on here before asking if we could give them tips on how to lose weight. They were saying if you don't hear the tips that you want to hear in this broadcast, you can go to our website. So T&K is asking, Michelle, what is your favorite part of CrossFit?
But T&K, do you mean physical or the entire subject matter? Because there's nothing as satisfying as being in a group of people. A good-sized class is anywhere from like 4 to 8 people.
She's saying physical.
Physical? Okay. God, that's hard. We have all right, so we have a machine called the GHD that Dan has shown in his videos before. It's the thing that looks like a pommel horse almost, and you can bend over backward, or you can do a back bend on it. I really like that. But in terms of body weight stuff, nothing beats an air squat for me. I could do them all day. I love them. But really, T&K, it's the combination of everything. There isn't one movement that I hunger for. I like how things go together, and I like seeing how they go together. When Dan or anybody programs something and you see it on paper, you go, oh, okay. But then when you actually put it all together yourself, when you're doing it, you go, oh my God, I understand why this is together, and it's working, and you can feel it working.
Cool.
Yeah.
Neat. Very cool. So we're just up here in the Adirondacks. So T&K is asking, what was the most challenging for you, RE CrossFit? So I'll flip the camera around, but just for people tuning in, I own a CrossFit gym, and I give out tips and advice, health and fitness related, and I'm actually on here interviewing my wife. We're up here in the Adirondacks on vacation, and it's a beautiful, beautiful day. We've been really fortunate, and I'm kind of prolonging our stay. We're supposed to be headed home right now, and I just don't want to go. It's most challenging.
Well, physically and mentally. So physically, I think it was probably like the push-up, maybe. That's one that really sticks out in my head.
Yep.
I had to start on a wall. Like, I had to push against a wall. And then slowly over time, I got lower and lower and lower.
And now what do you do?
Now what do? I do weighted push-ups.
And
handstand
push-up.
handstand push-ups. I don't have a full handstand push-up, but I can get,
Inverted.
a good range of motion upside down. Gosh, what else? Of course, pull up, all that standard stuff.
Yeah.
But I think seeing the progress of the push-up was pretty cool. Mentally, it's funny because we've been talking a lot at the box about always wanting more and how that's a good thing. How you are always striving to be better.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, I know everybody goes through this at the box too. I get frustrated when I feel like I'm not making progress. So then you have to step back and really see your progress. And that's why we journal. That's why we keep a record of what we do, too, so that you can remind yourself in reality, oh, look at the progress that I've made. But, every once in a while, that's a mental hang-up.
So we had a couple questions coming in.
Yep.
T&K is asking, how long did it take you to be able to do shoulder push-ups? Rock Troll is asking, what's the most rewarding part of all this?
Yep.
Probably asking you, Michelle. Earlier on, T&K asked my idea. I got to the point where all I could think about was CrossFit. I was working at an engineering firm doing electrical design, And I was pretty good at it. It just wasn't my passion, and I realized that my passion was to help people. I was working on projects for hospitals, and the 7 years I was at the engineering firm, every single hospital that we did design work for contacted us and informed us that we needed to specify more robust toilets. We were specifying toilets that were rated for, let's say, 3,000 pounds of impact, and they were being crushed. Just these morbidly obese, these really sick people, when they'd go to sit down on the toilet, it would actually break the toilet. And so we had to specify toilets rated for 6,000 pounds of impact. And the hospitals were asking us to specify wider doorways because people couldn't fit into the building. And I realized that doing that kind of work, I was not part of the solution. I was actually part of the problem. And I wanted to help people because the healthcare community, they're not really set up to treat chronic disease. The American healthcare community is fantastic at chronic, or they're fantastic with acute injuries and acute diseases. But when you're talking about chronic things like diabetes and most cancers and stuff, it's nutrition, it's lack of movement. There's so many other things that you could try before you go to a doctor. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but that was kind of the idea of why I started the CrossFit gym. It was me, and Michelle's kind of ridden along and kind of suffered through the highs and lows of all of it. But rock control was what was the most challenging part?
Rewarding.
Most rewarding.
I think it was rewarding. Okay. Most rewarding is again going back to that confidence thing, knowing that I can figure out a way to get through something.
Right.
Whether it's a physical challenge or a mental challenge, I know that there is a way through it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a lady that most of her childhood she spent in and out of hospitals, has a very challenging genetic predisposition to obesity and other chronic health problems. So it's been quite a journey.
And I think
amazing.
Another rewarding thing is knowing that there's a better way.
Yeah.
Knowing that you don't have to succumb to what the media is telling you about health and fitness.
Yeah.
Just knowing that there's something that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then T&K reminds me, she had a question.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get to the point where you could do a push-up on the floor?
Oh, the handstand push-up?
Well, a push-up on the floor.
Oh, push-up on the floor.
So you started doing push-ups against a wall.
Yeah.
You're standing up. And then how long did it take you to get so you're doing a push-up on the floor? Let's say. And then how did you feel when you did that very first one?
Oh, boy. What, do you remember 6 months? Something
It wasn't that long.
You don't think it was that long? I honestly
It's
don't
probably
remember
4 months.
T&K.
It was over 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was probably around 4 months.
Yeah, well, that was my first instinct, was
And
to say 4 months.
You started dabbling with handstand push-ups not long after that,
Yeah,
I think.
maybe 6 to 8 months
Yeah.
after we started.
So do you remember how you felt, let's say the first time you did a scaled version of a handstand push-up? You know, kind of a reduced range of motion.
Amazing. I felt like a real badass. Absolutely. And I still do when I do stuff like that. Yeah. You know those memes that go around, you know, what my mom, the 6 different pictures, you know, CrossFit, what my mom thinks I do, what society thinks I do. And the last one is what I think I do. And it's always, you know, like hulking out and stuff because it does. It makes you feel really good. Yeah. So that's part of that confidence builder. But yeah, the first time I got a push up, I probably squealed. It was awesome. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. We did a workout probably 3 weeks ago now where it was hang power cleans, you know, with a barbell. You just bring the barbell from around your hips to up to your shoulders. And then we did handstand push-ups. And I think you used a little cushion, a mat that's, you know, maybe 3 inches thick.
And a plate.
And how tall was the plate?
I think I used 15 or 25. I don't know.
So she is off the range of motion. So instead of, you can put your hands over your head. Instead of coming down so her hands are all the way to the top of her head, she would bring herself down so her hands were about 5 inches away from her head. So yeah, so it was a little shorter range of motion on the movement, but it wasn't a full range of motion. But we did 84?
It was a lot.
Hang power cleans and 80.
21, right? 21,
Yeah.
18,
So
working down.
Yeah, it was 84 hang power cleans, and 84 handstand push-ups in a little over 10 minutes. It was a really fun workout.
Yeah, it was.
Kind of getting the shoulders ready to come up here and paddle, because that's what we've been doing all this morning and into the afternoon, is just paddling here at Moose Pond. So I didn't want to keep you guys too long, and we got to hit the road, head home, see how the home fires are burning. Anybody got any more questions for Michelle or myself? We'll do more of these every week. We'll do one. I'm making arrangements to have somebody else come into the gym. Yeah, rock troll, that's a great point. That's a lot of reps. We break it up. T&K says she wants to be as badass as Michelle. Yeah, you can totally do it.
Yeah.
Starting at 35,
Yeah.
you got a little bit of a head start.
Yeah.
So rock troll, the workout, it's 84 reps total. We started out doing 21 reps of each movement, 18 reps of each movement, 15 reps, 12, 9, 6, 3. So as you progress through the workout, you're doing less reps per set, and it kind of keeps you going. We're canoeing. Michelle would like to get a kayak. She likes to be a little more independent, but I love my canoe. I've had it on here before. We were out on this lake a couple nights ago, and there were some loons way out over here, whistling and howling to each other, which was really cool. So T&K says her arms are very weak at the moment. They get strong really quick, especially if you're doing full range of motion, functional movements like squats, like pull-ups, and you can always modify the movements. How do you work on strengthening the arms? I would work on strengthening my whole body. Every part of your body is connected to every other part of your body. Rock Troll's got an inflatable kayak. Those are cool. Hope you get that out. It's a great summer for doing that stuff.
Where
it's
are
really
you,
beautiful.
Rock Troll?
So T&K, yeah, to get your arms stronger, move your whole body, squat, deadlift, learn how to do cleans, learn how to do snatches, start working on doing pull-ups, push-ups. Rock Troll is at the Schroon Lake General Store.
Oh.
Very cool.
Cool.
Awesome. So I wouldn't focus on just Knox. I'm not sure. Where is Knox?
Knox, New York?
Yeah, I think that's what rock troll means. So T&K, don't just focus on just working your arms. Work your whole body. I should actually, if I'm talking, I should turn this around. Not just one part of your body. Work your whole body, and your whole body will get strong. So definitely get a coach, and they'll teach you how to do all these different movements. And then when you want to do more gymnastics type movements that you might not be strong enough for yet, there's always a substitution or a modification that'll allow you to use that range of motion and build up to being able to do a pull-up. Michelle actually took some time off from pull-ups. So are you going to say something?
I just remembered my favorite thing.
In Knox, Schroon is where I got the kayak. Oh, okay.
I just wanted to say I remember my favorite thing. I don't know why I didn't think of this. I love rope climbs.
That's true.
I love rope climbs.
Michelle can do rope climbs all day.
Yep. And I love teaching people how to do rope climbs. Right, Amy? Just fucking do it.
Just fucking do it. So Amy was on last week. She's getting better at rope climbs. But I remember Michelle, we had a rope hanging off our deck. It was 15 feet high. And when she started, she'd only go about halfway up and then have to come back down. So Michelle uses her feet, so she'll actually clamp her feet around the rope. I don't know if you can see. Do you have any rope abrasions? I still have rope abrasions on my shins. I don't know if you can see on my shin. There's a little spot on my shin. That's where the rope rubs against my skin. Yeah, Michelle never did rope climbs in school. I couldn't do rope climbs in school.
I don't even think we had a rope.
Yeah. So there's really great ways to get started on rope climbs, and you don't even have to go up in the air. When I start people doing rope climbs, I have them stand with their feet about shoulder width apart, hold the rope, right against their body, and then lower themselves down backwards until their shoulders touch the floor, and then they pull themselves back up to a vertical position by pulling on the rope. And so that develops your grip strength, that develops your pulling strength, and then we teach them how to use their feet, and so they can kind of travel up the rope like a little inchworm, where they pull themselves up and then grip with their feet, stand up on their feet, and just kind of inchworm their way up, inchworm up the rope. And then as they get stronger, more confident there, we can start playing around with legless rope climbs and L-sit rope climbs, where you actually hang and your body's kind of in an L shape, so your legs are sticking out horizontal and you pull yourself up the rope that way. So those are really fun. When you get to that point, you feel like a total badass. But if you look at really early gymnastics, especially in the Olympics, the rope climb used to be a contested event where the people would actually ascend only pulling yourself up by your hands. That is correct. And so that's in the gymnastics. They used to, that was one of the contested events in gymnastics, was rope climbs. And I think it was 30 feet that they would climb. And you'd start in a seated position and only use your hands to get to the top, and people were climbing up in like seconds, like 4 seconds. And those people were specialists in rope climbing in most cases. They would train by climbing miles of rope a week. They measured their training in miles per week. Can you imagine? 30-foot rope climbs. How many 30-foot rope climbs do you have to do to put in miles? It's ridiculous. So they were really, really good at what they did. Gymnastics has become more of an artistic discipline, and so those brute strength elements like the rope climb aren't part of gymnastic contests anymore. But it's really cool stuff, and we love the rope climbs. One of my goals was to find a building that was big enough, tall enough to allow us to do rope climbs. Roxwell, I may have missed your previous. You're saying 200. 200 ascents. Yeah, 200 ascents. Yeah. That's a lot. And you imagine your training over the course of a week. That's a lot. And I think people were doing over 2 miles a week in training, just climbing up and down the rope without using their legs, just arms, upper body. Really cool stuff. So we should probably hit the road. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you ever miss anything, I try to post the replays on our Facebook, Cooperstown CrossFit. And then I also have a YouTube channel where I'll sometimes upload some of these to the YouTube channel. I'll probably upload this as long as it's not too long. It seems like we've been on here forever.
Yeah, I think we've been on for a while.
But we got lucky. The thunderstorm kind of passed to the north of us, so we didn't get wet. Had a hard enough time doing it once in school. Yeah, I don't think I ever got to the top of a rope in school. I hope I'll be able to tell you guys when I get there, get to that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. We'll be around. We're not going anywhere. And it's totally attainable. It's totally achievable. You get with a good coach, they're going to get you wherever you want to be. And in most cases, they'll do it pretty quickly and really safely. That's the great thing about having a coach is they've got a lot of experience and they know how to keep you safe and they know how to keep you going. And the way we train in CrossFit, you don't have to worry about an overuse injury because we're constantly mixing it up. Everything changes. So I'm kind of your coach right now, TNK, just long distance. But I would definitely want you to get a coach that you can train with in person. I actually have 2 coaches. I have a business coach and then I have a weightlifting coach. I've kind of gotten away from the weightlifting because I'm really focused on CrossFit right now. But I hope to get back into the weightlifting because my coach is a bad motherfucker. Shout out to Donnie Schenkel, 5-time national champion. I've got a serious crush on that guy. Total hetero, but he's an amazing coach. I appreciate the help from you guys. You're welcome, TNK. We're going to hit the road. We're probably going to get caught in the rain, but here comes Michelle. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Michelle, for being on here. And we're going to hit the road, and we'll talk to you guys again. What is his name again? My coach, Donnie Schenkel. He's a weightlifter. So he's trying to get to the 2016 games and the 2016 Olympics in Rio. And so you can find Donnie. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got a blog, which is fantastic. The sport of weightlifting is an amazing sport. You definitely want to educate yourself when you're getting into it because it doesn't look like much, but it's almost like a Zen. It's like poetry. It's a really amazing sport. So check out Donnie Schenkel. Really cool guy.
Shankle.
Yeah. Very cool guy, originally from New Orleans. He's traveled the world. He does seminars. And he's been coached by some of the most amazing coaches in the history of the sport of weightlifting. So his whole approach is a really great synthesis of everybody he's ever trained with and everybody he's ever been coached by. So he's really got a depth of knowledge and a breadth of knowledge I haven't seen with anybody else. He's really amazing. But thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
And one last view of the beautiful Moose Pond. We're just north of Saranac Lake, so it seems like we're in the middle of nowhere, but we're actually pretty close to a pretty developed town. But this place is stunning. I love it. We've been up here twice this week, and I don't want to leave. It's really, really nice. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I don't know if we can see Whiteface.
Careful.
Probably not. No, can't see Whiteface right now, but see you later. Next time you see me, I'll probably be back in Oneonta.